Is Shopify still worth it? This is a question a lot of people are asking following Shopify's recent price increase, which is quite a substantial one. It's over 30% on all of their plans. And a lot of people are wondering, should they stick with Shopify or should they consider moving to another platform? And I wondered this as well. So I went away and I ran the numbers to see whether or not Shopify is still financially viable for running an e-commerce store. And later on in the video, I'm also going to give my opinion on Shopify versus main competition to answer the question whether or not I think Shopify is still worth it. Now, the first thing we're going to look at is the financials. So is Shopify still worth it from a financial perspective? But one of the things that's always been really difficult to do with Shopify is figure out which plan you need to be on. Because when you factor in their monthly subscription fee and the transaction fee, it all gets a bit muddled. Which is why I created my own calculator on EcommerceGold.com to help me figure it out and to help other people figure it out as well. And I'll leave a link to it in the description below if you want to go and try it for yourself. But this is a tool I use to basically run the numbers to see basically where the transition point is on the Shopify plans. So when it's best to move, say, from the basic plan to the standard plan. Now for this I used some parameters, which was basically a 50-50 split between Shopify payments and PayPal for the payments, and the average order value is $20 because that works for most stores. Obviously there's going to be different variables for different stores out there, but I thought that was quite a good baseline. Now when we're looking at the old Shopify pricing, the transition points for the basic to the standard was around about $100,000. So basically over $100,000, it was better to move on to the standard package rather than stay on the basic one. And from the standard to the advanced package, the transition point was around about $800,000. But what about on the new plans? Well, this is where I got a little bit surprised because these transition points have actually increased. So on the basic plan to the standard plan, the transition point has actually increased to around about $130,000. And from the standard to the advanced has actually gone up to around about $1 million. And the kind of crazy conclusion from this is you can potentially sell more for less, which is kind of mad when you think about it. Because if you look at it, the basic plan has increased by $10 a month. And for an extra $120 a year, you can sell an additional $30,000 based on the parameters that I used, which is a significant increase for $120 a year. And when you look at the standard plan, for an additional $312 a year, you can sell an additional $200,000 a year before having to move up to the advanced plan, which is a significant amount of sales that you can generate every year before you have to move up, where it becomes more financially viable to move up to the next plan. Now on the calculator, I don't factor in discounts for paying annually. This is because Shopify changed their discounts all the time. It's changed multiple times in the past. I think it's about 12 months they've changed the discounts that they offer. So this is just if you're paying monthly for your subscription. But I thought those findings were quite interesting, that you can potentially sell more for less. So for some businesses, the new pricing structure may become even more attractive, which is kind of crazy. Price increase and it can actually work in the favor of the merchants. So that's kind of mad. And this becomes even more apparent when you compare Shopify to one of its biggest competition, no pun intended here, BigCommerce. This is because they use turnover-based pricing for their plans. And on the entry-level plan, it's $50,000 a year. On the mid-level one, it's $140,000, and their top tier one is $400,000 a year. So on that sense, Shopify is far more generous in terms of the kind of transition points to move between packages than with BigCommerce. So effectively, you can sell more for less on Shopify than you can with some of their competition. So in terms of financial viability, I think Shopify is still worth it. But what about when you actually compare Shopify as a platform as a whole to its competition? And for this, I'm looking at basically fully fledged e-commerce platforms. So ones that are purposely designed for e-commerce and offer a complete package. So you've got all the e-commerce features, you've got a website builder. You only need to use that one platform to run your e-commerce website. Now, I'm not going to lie here, I am quite a big fan of Shopify. I think it is a really good option when it comes to building an online store for quite a few reasons. It comes with a decent selection of features as standard. The App Store is absolutely massive. You can do pretty much everything and anything when it comes to Shopify due to it being open to third-party developers to create apps. The dashboard is really easy to use. It's one of the easier ones out there. And also from a website builder perspective, it's really, really good. The theme customizer is one of the best on the market. Now, it's not perfect because, in my opinion, there is no perfect e-commerce platform out there. And there's a couple of things I wish they would improve. I wish they would include more features as standard because it does lack compared to some of its competition. And I wish the collection system was better. From an SEO perspective, it could be significantly better. But as an overall platform, Shopify is really quite good because one of the things I found with it is there's very few things that Shopify is arguably the best at, but they're one of the few platforms that's good at lots of things overall. They perform well in every single area. But what about the competition? Well, let's talk about BigCommerce because they are arguably one of the biggest competitors to Shopify out there. And they're one of the only few ones that can actually go toe-to-toe with Shopify in terms of features. In fact, I think they're better in standard features than what Shopify offers, and in terms of website builder and ease of use, things like that. BigCommerce is a little bit more difficult to use than Shopify, but it's still not a difficult platform to use. But obviously there are some drawbacks with BigCommerce as well. The first one is the pricing because the turnover limits are quite low in my opinion. The hosting is also an issue with BigCommerce as well because in our testing on EcommerceGold, we do performance testing every single year on all the major platforms, and BigCommerce has always come in the bottom 2 positions for the 4 years we've been doing it, which isn't really great. And one of the things that does kind of put me off BigCommerce now is I received an email last week from BigCommerce basically giving me an update on where their focus is. And as they said in the email, their focus is no longer on small businesses. It's on mid-level and enterprise level e-commerce businesses. So does this mean that the small guy doesn't matter to BigCommerce anymore? I don't know. And I also don't know what's going to be happening with their essential packages as well, because if this focus is moving towards mid to basically enterprise level e-commerce businesses, are they going to be offering the essentials packages in the future? I don't know. And then you've got Ship4Shop, which financially is one of the most attractive e-commerce platforms out there because they offer a completely free end-to-end package, currently just for US merchants, but it is free if you're selling more than $500 a month and you don't want to use PayPal. If you're not selling $500 a month or you want to use PayPal, then you are going to have to pay $29 a month for their package, which is still a good option because it's feature rich and you get a fully fledged e-commerce platform for your money. But there are some drawbacks with Ship4Shop. The main one is just basically the platform in general. It needs a massive overhaul. The dashboard itself is not the easiest to use. It feels quite dated, and the website builder is pretty useless. It needs a massive overhaul to basically bring it up to the level where it would be able to compete with the likes of Shopify and BigCommerce in terms of being a viable option for customers, because at the moment its USP is that it's cheap, but the counter is it's not actually that great of a platform. It's definitely not the easiest to use. And finally, we've got Volution. I'm going to be honest here and say I've never tried it out. I don't know how I've got this far in the e-commerce gold journey and we haven't tried Volution out yet, so I can't comment on that one. But from looking at what other people have said and other reviews, it doesn't seem to be quite at the level of Shopify as of yet. But obviously I'm going to leave that one open until I actually try that myself. So is Shopify still worth it? The question on everybody's lips, and in my opinion, the answer is yes. Even though it's more expensive on a monthly basis, it could become more cost effective for some businesses. As mad as that sounds, based on the transition points that I went through earlier in this video. And as a platform as a whole, I think Shopify is one of the best out there. The reason is it performs well in every single area. It's one of the few platforms that doesn't have any glaring weaknesses. It's a good all-round package. Whether you're brand new to building e-commerce websites or you've built multiple stores in the past. There's a reason why lots of people who are experienced in the world of e-commerce just go straight for Shopify. The reason is it's just a good all-round option, and it's also pretty easy to use as well. So for those reasons, for me, it's still a viable option in 2023 and definitely something that you should consider when it comes to building an e-commerce website. But if you're struggling to choose a platform for your online store, then I'd recommend you check out this video here, which should help you answer that question.